Okay. So we are the editors of A Place in Your Cave. Welcome to our first special podcast, blab, whatever we're doing here. On this glorious episode, we will be discussing the 12 mockbuster movies that we had in our wonderful calendar this year. Obviously, they're the real movies, not the spoofs that were included in the calendar. My name is David. With me is my co-hosts, Will and Alex. Say hi, guys.
Hey.
Alex?
Is Alex on the lag?
Hey.
There he is. Hey, great.
All right. It's an international thing going on here, so we're working out some kinks, and this is our first time on Blab. Really excited. I can't tell if anyone's actually watching us, but hopefully they are.
I don't think they are, but how about we keep talking anyway? Because me and you had a little chat about this beforehand, and I want to kind of involve Alex in it. Alex, the first movie in our calendar. David, do you want to show up the calendar?
Yeah, I think we're going to show the calendar.
For anyone watching, it seems unlikely who actually didn't see the original Kickstarter for this. We did a calendar last year that was 12 films that were coming out that were either sequels or part of larger franchises or remakes, which we then got independent artists to illustrate scenes from or scenes from the poster of using their own figures, using people from their own comics. Our first one was Mad Ted, Fury Road.
Ted, yes.
Furry Road.
Furry Road.
Mm-hmm.
Let me pull it up here. Mad Ted, Furry Road by Baki, who does the Zombie Bears, this is a spoof of, and she has also done some My Little Pony, apparently.
Great. Is she a brony? Is she I don't know what that exactly is.
No.
Can
you be a brony if you're a woman? Isn't it
No, I don't believe so. I think that's the operative term.
Yeah. All
Alex,
right,
can we talk about what did you make of Mad Max Fury Road? Have you seen it?
Yes, I did see it, and I loved it. I honestly think it's top 3 film of the year for me.
Yep. I've noticed that it keeps showing up in best film of the year lists. Variety did their list of films that will win Oscars and films that should. And it was Mad Max should win Best Picture, but it won't, but it should. And it's 3 or 4 different publications have all said that about it, which I think is really nice. Really says something about the film. I think it's kind of an underdog movie in a way.
Yeah.
I remember when I saw it in the calendar, I was thinking this is pretty much the film that I'm least looking forward to that was in the calendar. Maybe with the exception of Terminator Genesis, which looked like shit right from the off. But we'll get there in time. I
probably wasn't looking forward to this much at all, but I only just watched it this morning in preparation for this. I liked it. I don't think I liked it as much as you guys, though. I thought it was solid, but I feel like the action, it was just so much on the action.
Is that because you had a hangover this morning? Is that because you were hungover?
It was. But that's not the point.
That's interesting because when I went in, I got in a little bit late because my friend didn't show up until later, and we were in a central London cinema on Tottenham Court Road. And I reached to turn off my iPad, not wanting any alarms and stuff to go off. And the light was still on when the first title card came up, right at the start of the movie. And this guy behind me was like, and I was like, it's funny because watching the film, in the end, it turns out wouldn't have been a problem. If you heard a phone vibrate, you wouldn't be able to hear it in the film because it's so cacophonous and full of kind of explosions and fights, guns, cars flipping over, etc. He was totally off. I really enjoyed this one. If I was going to rate all the films from the calendar, already preemptively, I'm already giving this one a big yes, thumbs up.
I think this one's probably in my top 5 of the year, but I don't know if it cracked my top 3.
It's in my top 3, so that's 2 against 1, pal. Democracy in action.
Fair enough. You falling out there?
A little bit. Tell me more.
Right. So we had talked a little bit about a lot of the symbolism and sort of got into the nitty gritty of the film earlier. So you had a lot to say about sort of the milkmaids and that whole jam. Are you just spinning? Are you just spinning?
Yeah, I'm spinning. I'm rotating slowly. Oh, I feel a bit sick. Yeah, no, one thing I really liked about it was the chrome. I like the chrome spray paint. It's nice because it's kind of like this. It kind of represents the film itself in microcosm. The spray paint is kind of like a parody of different warrior traditions that use drugs to kind of heighten people's awareness just before they die, like Berserker's tradition and stuff like that. And it's also kind of co-aligned with this post-apocalyptic myth they're building about the world that loves gasoline. In the end, something that's chrome and which heightens your awareness of the world before you die kind of ties right into the whole mythology in a way that's deceptively simple on the surface, but really deep and thoughtful underneath. Kind of represents the film for me.
Yeah. I like it.
Thanks. Sure, I can get myself a beer now. I've got to make sure I don't drink some shampoo instead.
Yeah. So, Alex, do you have any other thoughts about the film in general? Just, what'd you think of Tom Hardy?
Tom Hardy, it's funny. Like, okay, when I saw the previews for this movie, I was never a big Mad Max guy, so I saw the previews. I was kind of like, maybe. Then I saw like the great reviews. I was like, okay, maybe this is gonna be a great movie. I saw it. Tom Hardy, he's always been great. Like, I never found a performance I didn't like of his, but he sounded a little too much like Bane. Like he didn't talk much, but like every time he grunted or talked in the movie, I don't know, I got a very Bane vibe from him.
Was it the face thing that he had the whole time? For the first time?
Well, that coupled with it, but also it's so weird. Like, it's hard to describe. It's just the way he sounded. Like, I was thinking, like, I just kept thinking back to Bane, like the way he was grunting and had kind of like that menacing tone. Like, I like the fact that he was mostly silent because actions speak better than words, and I like that. Like, I like the fact that he was able to portray so much without talking that much.
I think that's a good thing about the whole movie. Actually, a lot of the dialogue is really simple. And it just sort of is like straight to the point, no muss, no fuss. It's like there's nothing, there's no just faffing around. The exposition it isn't even there. It's whatever the dialogue is. It's just what you need.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you said that about Bane, because Bane sounds like this, of course, and he's kind of like Mickey Mouse, really. I guess I always think about when I think about Bane. Whereas I just saw Max. I mean, I don't think I even speaks enough dialogue for you to really pick up what the guy's accent is. But I hadn't considered that. I think definitely David's onto something when he says that the way that his mouth is covered up probably makes you think a little bit more like Bane than you probably should. But that's your choice. I don't want to shit on your opinion. So it seems like we're relatively in agreement, though, that it was a good movie, that it was worthwhile.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cute.
All right. Should we move on to number 2 on the list? Which
we've got 12. I mean,
yeah. So number 2 is The Kingsman.
Yeah, I didn't see this, so
I didn't see it either.
Neither of you saw it. Well, this is going to be really short, but in that case, what I'm going to say about it is...
I wanted to see it. Is that a plus? Like, I really want to see it. I own a pug, so...
It's really good. I ended up seeing it twice. It's got a lot of, like, nice action. It's definitely got the Mark Miller feel to it. It's got that, like, kick-ass kind of vibe.
Yeah. That's not just Mark Miller, but Matthew Vaughn as well.
Matthew Vaughn as well, yeah, absolutely. It's really fun. I really like the main actor, Taron Egerton. Yeah, thank you.
Is it?
No, something like that.
Taron De Niro, that's the one, yeah.
In the film, he's Eggsy. Anyway,
yeah.
Eggsy in the film, the actor, I really liked him. By the end, he'd really grown on me. And I also think that I will never listen to Freebird the same way after seeing this film. And since you guys haven't, I'll leave you with that.
Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow. Maybe I didn't fucking know. Maybe I will watch it tomorrow. Spoilers, I'm not going to.
All right, should we go on to... did we lose Will? Well, he's actually here for the audience. He's just in my bathroom, which is why his video looks so weird. Hang on one second. Will?
He says he's coming back.
He's coming back. All right. He's coming back. All right. Well, while he's gone, I'm going to show off our third film parody, which is Ant Mouse by the lovely Mike Giorgio. He also is the designer of our logo, as well as the cover of the calendar for the year. So, of course, this is for Ant-Man. Alex, did you see Ant-Man?
I did. I saw it. I reviewed it for the site, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Definitely one of the underdogs of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Hey, gang.
I went in with low
I
expectations,
think you need to
but
stop recording for me to be
I was
honest with
pleasantly surprised.
Yeah. Hang on.
Is that Will?
We're just working out what's going on.
Just a second.
I ruined everything.
Yeah, you
One
did.
of the problems with the Blab app.
All right.
My bus finally arrived. I'm here again.
We're here.
Hooray!
Will is back. He has returned from his journey to from the other land. Okay, so Alex, you were telling us your thoughts on Ant-Man.
Yeah, I liked it. Thought it was like the underdog of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I went in with low expectations because honestly, I just think Ant-Man's kind of like a hero.
Like a shitty
And I
hero,
was
like
pleasantly
boring,
surprised.
like dull.
No, man, I really liked it. Again, I saw that one twice.
Where'd you get your money from? It's unbelievable.
I have like a membership, so I don't.
Oh,
I also
great.
both times I saw Kingsman and Ant-Man. The second time it was on a plane. So
Okay,
it doesn't
yep.
really count.
Fair enough. I'll give you that.
But yeah, I really enjoyed it. You know, I thought it was like really refreshing, especially after Age of Ultron, which we'll get to later.
Thought
Wait. So after the fact that, you know, Age of Ultron was really interconnected to like everything in the Marvel universe, I felt that Ant-Man and the fact that like you could really cut out that Falcon scene and it wouldn't make a difference, that it had a nice connection to everything else.
But so it's like you thought that the fact that there was a whole scene that you could have cut out and it wouldn't make a difference was a good thing about the
So
film.
what I'm saying is, if you had cut it out, it would have been better.
Like the opening 10 minutes as well.
What, of Ant-Man?
Yeah, where they're just hanging around in the 70s being like, oh, technology's bad.
Oh, yeah, that was weird. I was just like fascinated by all the makeup on everyone's, like,
Yeah.
this person's older than she is,
What's
this
the main
person's
guy in it called?
younger,
What's the
and then
older
the guy
dude?
from Mad Men just shows up.
What's the older dude's name again?
Which one? Michael Douglas?
Yeah. Michael Douglas has never looked young. Like, I swear, he's never actually looked young. He's always had a crinkly face, like, right off the bat. And I feel like you could... It's like when they tried to de-age Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen in X-Men 3, The Last Stand.
Well, you really don't need to do that with Patrick Stewart.
But yeah, because he's always looked old. And it's
No,
like
he's just always looked the same.
you can never possibly make him look young. Like, he's looked old from 23 onwards. Lost his hair, just looks old. And I feel like it's a similar problem for Michael Douglas. And... You know, I guess one of the positive things you could say about the film was that was the thing that kind of broke my suspension of disbelief. Instead of all the
first 5
shrinking.
minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Instead of shrinking.
But I don't know. I found it very dull as a film. I thought it was kind of like paint by numbers in the sense that you could end up with something that ostensibly looked quite nice, but was ultimately derivative, boring, and derived from a formula instead of being in any way powerful or interesting. I think that for a movie that was a heist movie about someone who can shrink, it wasn't enough of a heist, and it also wasn't a good enough movie.
No, I'll go
as a
with that
result.
on it wasn't enough of a heist for me. I really was expecting more.
But that
More of a
idea in
heist.
core of it is
Yeah.
actually pretty much the only context in which I'd like to see one of those movies. You know,
Well, At the very least, I thought it was a little bit different from some of the Marvel fare we've had recently, just in the sense of, you know, we've been getting all these big movies, big team ups, and no pun intended, but this was a smaller movie with smaller stakes. It wasn't the end of the world. That was kind of nice. What do you think, Alex?
I agree with Will. It was kind of like the thing with the Marvel movies. They have a formula now, but with Ant-Man, it was kind of a big risk. So I don't blame them entirely for following that formula. Like they're
But
kind of thinking, "Hey, this."
bear in mind,
might as well follow the formula."
it's a risk that predates the Marvel movies as we call them now, right? Because it was in development from before Iron Man was in development.
But it
Right.
wasn't in development as a heist movie in the same way. And
How do you know that?
they've talked about what they
Oh, they have? I didn't know that.
haven't they?
Sign me up. Google me in. It was just like a fetish dream you had.
There's like
about it.
no, because there's the original Edgar Wright script has been released.
Oh, okay, great.
At some point, I don't really know.
I will definitely try and get in on that.
You know, I know that does include a lot of the heist elements, but that it was that was later in the script, or later in the development, rather.
Wasn't that back when they were still planning for Hank Pym to be like the main Ant-Man in the movie?
Yeah, I think so.
I don't know.
There was a time when they wanted Hank Pym, and it also Joss Whedon had wanted to use Hank Pym and Janet in the Avengers originally and introduce them in that, but it was decided not to. It's probably better for it. All right. Any more on Ant-Man? Well,
I really like Michael Pena. I really like him. I like him as an actor. I think he was really funny. His role was really well written. I think he was pretty much the only different or interesting thing about the film, so I guess I was okay with him being in it.
Fair enough. Alex, anything else?
I don't know about you guys. I always feel like when I look at a Marvel film, I feel like from the first 5 minutes, I'm looking at it from above. Like I'm sitting, I'm looking at a plan that's stretching out in front of me, and I know exactly what all the moves in the film are going to be, and then they are. And the last movie that managed to not do that was Iron Man 3, which is quite a few films ago now, really. So, yeah, that's my take on it. Sorry for interrupting. Please, keep it real.
All right.
It was good. Final thought. I liked Ant-Man, but it was kind of following the same Marvel formula.
All right, I'll give you that. So before we move on to Marvel's really big movie of the year, we have an interlude with Fast and Furious, which was the Furious 7, which was released. Alex, did you see that this year?
Yeah, saw that, and I reviewed it for the site. But
you did a lot of these for the site, I think.
I did. Yeah, I think I did Mad Max too, and Star Wars. Yeah, but before I get off track with Furious, I was never a big Fast and Furious person. I only saw the first one before that, so I went to see the 7th one, and for an action movie, I thought it was decent, like a mindless action.
Yeah.
Expendables 2.5. I thought it was a decent movie.
Yeah.
But see, I like that because I feel like the people who like the Fast and Furious movies are watching a similar kind of movies like the Avengers pictures because they're dumb, they're big, they're loud. Whereas in the Avengers fan base, everyone's like, if you don't like this film, you're dead to me. Whereas in the Fast and Furious fan base, they're so responsive to their fans, right? That you know the Rock's character in those movies? Originally, it was going to be played by Tommy Lee Jones. He was signed to do Fast and Furious 5.
Really?
Yeah. And then Vin Diesel was on the Fast and Furious fan group on Facebook. And was like, someone was like, wow, wouldn't it be cool if it was The Rock, if The Rock was in these movies? And so he was like, he took it to the producers, because he's obviously one of the major producers on it. Took it to the other producers, and was like, should we do this? So they asked Tommy Lee Jones if they were okay swapping out the actor, and it wasn't into shooting or anything, so they did that. They swapped in The Rock out of a fan suggestion, just because it'd be cool. And I feel like that's really nice. Every time I watch one of their movies, I feel like they're putting in way more effort than Marvel does in trying to make something in them satisfying to fans, but not in a way that affects the story, because there is no story.
I think Jason Statham kind of played that role in this one. I mean, he had nothing really to do in the movie. I don't understand. Like, one of the big issues, I actually really thought the film was really fun, but one of my big issues with the plot is that they're trying to find something to find the guy who's looking for them. Wouldn't you just stand still? Like, I don't understand. But I don't know. Anyway, the point is, I think that because of that, Jason Statham sticks out like this sore thumb in the film because he's not really the villain. He's like kind of just there to just fight everyone, and that's awesome.
I hate everything.
And like, you know, my wife is a huge fan of these movies, and she loves Jason Statham.
Yeah,
so when the last one ended with that end credits scene of Jason Statham getting out of the car and being the one who killed Han, like that was just awesome. It was just like that's all you need. It was just, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a nice little popcorn film, and I thought it was a really nice tribute to Paul Walker as well. In the end.
Good.
Anything else?
Anything to add?
Nah, I got nothing.
Great. We covered our bases on that one. Flying through it now. I do like the fact that Fast and Furious 5 is one of the few films where the title is also a synopsis and a tagline. Because it's Fast and Furious 5 Rio Heist, which is a description of everything that goes on in the film, as well as a tagline for the film. That's not bad, right? The only other example I can think of is the Jonas Brothers vehicle from the noughties called Camp Rock.
What about Finding Nemo? It's the entire movie.
Bang! There we go. That's another good one.
Yeah. That movie gives away, that title gives away the ending because they find him.
Okay, yeah, I'll give you that.
All right.
Can we look at
Speaking of spoilers, just before we go any further, Alex, Will hasn't seen Star Wars, so no spoilers.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks.
I feel like that's something we have to put out there early, just in case.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're totally not wrong.
All right, especially because this next movie, like all the other movies before it, in Marvel Phase 2, took something from Empire Strikes Back. That was a really awful segue, wasn't it?
Okay.
Anyway, we're back to Marvel with Avengers: Age of Ultron. The moments I'm referring to is, of course, when in each of the Marvel Phase 2 films, someone gets their hand chopped off. So it starts in Iron Man 3. One of the suits gets its arm chopped off, and he also chops off Killian's arm at some point. In Thor: The Dark World, Loki cuts off Thor's hand at some point when it's like an illusion. In what else is Phase 2? Oh, in Guardians of the Galaxy, Groot gets his arm cut off at some point, then he regrows it. In Winter Soldier, obviously the Winter Soldier has lost an arm.
Wait, I thought you weren't spoiling Star Wars. Who gets their arm chopped off in Star Wars?
Spoiled it. Empire Strikes Back, dude.
Empire Strikes what? Who's Luke's dad? Whoa. Wait, hang about. But doesn't that mean Luke and Leia? Are we done? My bit's over. I'm done.
Yeah.
Cool.
That was fun.
Done. Cheers, guys. That's my mistake. I like your little fan theory, though. I think it's cute.
No, it's not even a theory. It's
an observation. Yeah.
Kevin Feige has come out and said that they did this on purpose. Anyway, Age of Ultron had a lot of fans, I would say, divided. I think that this was actually the first...
Oh, wait, sorry. You're asking me to have an opinion on Age of Ultron?
Yeah. So, I don't know. I felt very divided about it. Again, I saw it twice. I saw all these twice. That I did see twice in the theater. But the first time I saw it in 3D, and I hated it. I couldn't stand the 3D on it. It's the last film I think I will ever see in 3D.
Because he didn't direct it for 3D essentially at all.
Yeah, for me, it was just like an information overload. There was just so much happening on the screen anyway that when you added in the 3D, it just sucked. But anyway, I think that so Marvel has suffered from having a lot of bad villains, and I don't mean like evil or mean. I just mean
not compelling,
yeah. Poorly formed. I think everyone has agreed that Kilgrave is the first good Marvel villain.
Well, Kingpin probably.
But Kilgrave probably on the same level.
I think the Mandarin's a good villain.
Killian?
Yeah. Guy doesn't agree.
Anyway, my point...
This guy preferred the Orientalist racism that we could have had otherwise.
If only! But what I was trying to say about Ultron is I think that this is probably one of the worst villains that they've actually had, period.
Yeah.
His whole motivation is in 30 seconds, he wakes up and goes, I hate Tony Stark, I'm going to kill the Avengers. That's his motivation. It's
Alex, how do you feel about that?
What do you think?
I agree that Ultron was he was underwhelming. He was definitely different than I expected, especially how they presented him in the trailers.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
I mean, I like the fact that he was a creation of Tony's instead of going the Pym route, like in the comics. I like the fact that there was that connection and he had kind of this personal vendetta with Tony. I like that, but I guess, I don't know, I agree that he was kind of it was weird. His motivation was not worthy of...
What was his motivation? Do you remember what his motivation was?
He believed... He had this weird... can't think of the word, but he had this notion where he thinks humanity is kind of like a virus in itself. So
yeah,
he wanted to get rid of humanity.
I wonder what other film...
It's Agent Smith's motivation.
And Terminator.
Skynet,
rather.
Pretty much anything with AI.
Yeah.
What I didn't like about that was how it tied into the ending as well, because at the ending of that film, it cuts that shot of Thanos on the throne, and he's like, if you want something done, you have to do it yourself. And I sat there and I was like, well, I watched Ultron come into being about 2 hours ago. I haven't forgotten that. I haven't had that bad a memory. And I remember Ultron looking through the internet for a bit, seeing some like Two Girls, One Cup or whatever and being like, humanity needs to be wiped out. And what I found bizarre about that was Thanos' feeling like that he had been wrong somehow in this. I think I would have rewritten the line something more like, if you want something done, you have to actually go and put any effort in whatsoever to do it instead of relying on circumstance to possibly bring it about. I guess. Like, it felt like it was the most desperate part of a series of desperate tie-ins that film included. I particularly like the whole, like, hey, look, here's Agent Peggy Carter, currently playing on ABC. Hope you enjoy it. This is Coulson. He's not, Coulson's not in it, actually, is he?
Coulson's not in it. But, going back to Thanos, like, I agree that shouldn't have been with the line. Like, I had no problem with him showing up at the end, but that was the wrong line.
Even then, it wouldn't have made sense for him to show up because he had no interaction with the fucking main characters.
Here's my explanation of that scene, which is the gem, the AI that became Ultron comes from one of the Infinity Gems.
I'm sure that's the way that they'll backtrack on it. Yeah.
No, but that's
sure.
That's part
but
of
it would have been nice if they'd given us.
Maybe that's how it links back to it. But it doesn't.
If we're going back to shit overhyped movies, even The Phantom Menace makes some sort of implication someone is behind Darth Maul, right? And they managed to do that within the script. Do you think Joss Whedon's a better writer than George Lucas? Yes. On balance, yes. Do you think Marvel are a better studio overall than the company that made the prequels, Lucasfilm? Yes, I think that's fair to say. Do you see what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
Could they not have implied it a little bit? Couldn't they have had him have it? And also, it also ties into another problem in the movie, which is that his solution is to do exactly the same thing again. So Stark's like, oh, this giant homicidal robot that I've built has destroyed everyone. And the whole point of the film, the interesting emotional cracks of the movie is that it makes the Avengers not trust Stark, who's supposed to be the natural leader.
See,
and then at the end, that he's like, but trust me, I'll do the same thing again, and this time it'll be fine. And he uses an Infinity Gem to power it.
Yeah.
So that's why I think you're wrong, because another Infinity Gem is being used there, and it is the right thing that time.
All right. Yeah, I mean...
Unless some gems are evil, I don't know. I try not to tie into really shit ideas in ongoing Marvel comics.
If you want to go back,
evil
you
gems,
can say
guys.
that Thanos gave the
Avengers
scepter...
free. Gems war.
Thanos gave the scepter to Loki, which had the AI in it. That's the best I got. But I'm agreeing with you that it's thin, it's a bad line. It should just be, well, fuck it, now it's my turn. You know, something along those lines. Or it should just have been him grabbing it with no line.
Being like, the Earthlings have taken my gems. Oh, wait, that's a Clash of Clans advert, isn't it? Topical. Yeah, so I didn't like it much, as you might be able to tell. It was very loud and boring. And to be honest, for a movie where so much happens, it's interesting that very little of it is memorable or like, you know, even retrievable. I particularly felt like there was a really dumb bit with Black Widow and Hulk, which a lot of people didn't like. I actually liked the idea of that. I thought it was a nice pairing. Yeah. What I didn't like was the way they did it, because there's a bit, I don't know what were the thing that probably suspended my disbelief most in that movie was Scarlett Johansson kissing Mark Ruffalo and Mark Ruffalo stopping it.
Oh.
I was like, no, I'm sorry. You completely lost me here. I had no idea what train of events this would be. And the worst thing is the line when he's like, no, we can't do this. It's wrong. And I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ. Really? Like, why? Honestly, why?
I thought it was because an erection turns him into the Hulk.
That's the only reasonable explanation, isn't it? That is the only reasonable explanation. I saw Joss Whedon on the tube. He was shooting Avengers near where I live. I saw him on the tube while they were shooting this, or just after it had finished shooting. And I was like, holy shit, I really want to talk to Joss Whedon, because this was before I'd seen that piece of shit. And I looked over him, and he had his phone out with him, and he just kept on looking at his phone and going, fuck, and like slamming it in his hands. And now I've seen the film.
He was getting the news about Thor, wasn't he?
I think he was getting some of the bad news. I don't think that was even it. But yeah, I think that was probably what was going on. So that's my personal take on it. I didn't enjoy it much. I also don't like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Which I'll bring up in every possible...
Probably on the Jock and Nerd podcast, which
every possible
you guys should also check out.
I've been thinking about that, because if we make an entire podcast with the extent of, like, why don't we try and plug our Patreon, and my entire gambit is to talk about how much I hate the film that pretty much everyone likes.
People might not listen.
Might not endear us to people, though.
We have the guy who hates DC as our last guest.
Unless
too.
my natural wits and
I don't
verve
think we
will
can
get me
have
ahead.
all of our guests on that show be the man who hates.
Can I talk about how much I like Rocketeer or something?
Yeah.
There we go. That'd be nice.
Alex,
should we get back on track? I don't know.
What are your thoughts on Ultron?
I liked it. I could definitely see why polarized fans so much. I
Polarized?
personally loved it. I don't know. I thought it was a good movie, but I can understand why people didn't like it.
What was good in it?
I'm sorry, what?
What was good in it?
What was good?
Could you pick a specific instance of something good in it?
The fact that we got development with some of the characters, like in the last Avengers movie, it was kind of like, hey, we finally got all the heroes on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
And now this movie was more personal. We finally understand more about individuals. Like Hawkeye isn't just some guy with bow and arrow. Like,
yeah,
he actually has a family and there's meaning behind him. Like stuff like that.
What did we learn about Thor?
About Thor?
That he's got a movie coming out in 2017, right?
I was going to say that he's still got amazing abs. I got nothing.
Do you remember what we learned about Captain America? That he's.
I saw more of development between his rivalry between Tony Stark, or not rivalry, but more like distrust. You kind of see that building distrust in each other.
What did you see about? What did you learn about Tony Stark? That he's clever and nasty. Yeah,
I mean, this
is it. I feel like anything it covered stuff that had been done better in other contexts, or
the
things
exception
that
of Hawkeye, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think the bit in the barn was fucking great. Like the barn, that the country, the homestead, the ranch. I thought that was great.
Which was parodied horribly in Arrow recently.
Yep, I remember that.
They literally get out of the car, and one of the characters goes, "A bunch of superheroes at a farmhouse. Where have I seen that before?"
It's not a parody. That's just awful.
It was more like just a side.
Like, if we mentioned this, then that's parody.
But did you guys know? I know you don't watch the show yet, but Alex, I know you watched The Flash and Arrow, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice that entire 2-part episode was the exact same plot as Avengers: Age of Ultron? Complete with, they have a party that gets interrupted by the bad guy breaking in while they're all drinking and out of costume. They introduce 2 new characters who kind of join the team, kind of don't. They kind of fuck off. They go to the farmhouse at some point. It was literally. Why was Iron Man having a whole load of war veterans around for dinner? Why was that happening? Those were Tony's friends.
To get Stanley's cameo.
Not Tony's, but Steve's friends.
Actually, his friends.
Steve's buddies, war buddies.
Makes more sense. Okay, cool.
Yeah, Stan Lee and him. They were the 1st Infantry Division. It was actually Stan Lee's birthday this week. He turned 93.
It was yesterday, wasn't it?
It was yesterday. 93.
Flipping hell. That guy's old.
He is.
Should we roll on with this?
Yeah,
like
I'm really excited for the next one, actually. I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but I think this was my favorite of these films.
Dude, I don't think okay, yeah.
So, with the exception maybe of Star Wars, it's Jurassic World. This is Jurassic Kitty by Rachel Smith, who's a favorite of ours, actually.
I saw her book the other day.
Sorry?
I saw her book the other day in the shop.
I got my wife, I'll show you later, I got her the coloring book for Christmas, as well as a kitty thing.
We love Rachel Smith's work.
We love Rachel Smith. She's great.
Rachel's great.
You should totally check out her webcomic, Bess.
It's really good.
Yeah. All right.
Or Buy the Rabbit in paperback, which is a great graphic novel.
That's a great one. Anyway, Jurassic World. So I am a huge Jurassic Park fan. I loved the original movie. I don't really care for what came after, but I love the books. I love the first movie a lot. So I also really, really like Chris Pratt. So I was really excited for Jurassic World, and I was really expecting it to just not live up to my expectations, and it did. It totally it was exactly what I wanted. I think that's probably why it was one of my favorites this year, because it didn't try to be more than it was. It was just another stupid, popcorn film. It didn't try to have big ideas. And it succeeded in that goal. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. I loved it. Will, you look like you're quivering.
Alex, what do you have to say about Jurassic World?
Out of all the movies I saw in the theater this year, I thought that was like my least favorite. I thought it was just very average.
Thank you. Super average film.
Yeah, like I didn't understand how it became like, what was it, the fastest to gross $1 billion or something? Like I didn't see it. Like I went to see it, and I'm like, okay, this is good, but I don't see what all the hype is. Like, is it because
I
it's
think
been
it was
10 years?
kind of like it was kind of wish for death mixed with wish for nostalgia. You know, I think people wanted to see the old eat the young. I mean, that was the claim. I think they wanted to see something genetically engineered by man, you know, like something brought about by society that was reminiscent of the old, coming back and cannibalizing its children. I think that's what they wanted.
Star Wars is in theater this week, people.
I was a little bit shocked like you. I lost a little bit of faith in people when they liked it quite as much as they did. One thing that surprised me about it was how much I liked it, considering how bad the trailer was.
Jurassic World?
Yeah, I thought the trailer was really awful, and I thought the setup was really bad. And I was surprised how little I cared about that during the film. Nothing in it stood up to even a moment's kind of thought, I think. And I think the characters were really flat and archetypal and kind of boring. I felt that what was good in it wasn't capitalized on. There's a couple of things I did like about it. I thought the effects were very good, and I liked the music a lot. I thought the music was great. It's Michael Giacchino, right?
I think so.
Well, it was great. The music was great, and it had a lot of like nice, subtle little variations on such an iconic theme, in a way that, like, for instance, the RoboCop remake totally failed to do.
Oh,
and I also thought the directing was really good. So it's weird because it's one of those things where the acting was good, but the writing for parts was bad, so it's hard to tell almost.
Those scenes when the two of them were flirting.
No, not flirting. It's like, you know, when you watch kids like with a male doll, a female doll, and they're like, "I'm gonna stick it in you." It was like that stuff. Because right at the end, he was like, "I'm gonna make you breathe." That was like his last line, right? When she was like, she's like, "Maybe I do want babies after all," and he's like, "Let's go and pump my seed in you." Like, it was so transparent a subtext. One thing I didn't like about it at all was that, just for an example, is that Owen, the main character, develops not at all. Like, he starts off being right, he continues to be right, and then his only like development is that he manages to teach a woman that she's wrong and convince her that she wants to breed with him.
His whole
that's his whole
is, I
development.
told you so.
No, that's not an arc, David. That's a flat line. That's just you know, that's it. I just posted my review over here. You can see it in the comments. I feel like I've backed my points on that pretty much, but I had a lot of problems with it. And you can see a picture of my pug in there if you look closely.
I mean, for me, I think a lot of it was the nostalgia, and I will say, and don't worry, I'm not going to say anything specific about Star Wars, but I think that in much the same way that Star Wars, the new one, achieves this sort of bringing in something new while still paying service to the previous fans and having that nostalgia element. But I think that Star Wars succeeds in that much better than Jurassic World, but that Jurassic World definitely had that, and I think that that's why those were the two biggest films of the year.
But it's funny though, to an extent, we made this calendar to point out the fact that at best these films are trading on nostalgia, and here you are saying that like you like a film for how well it manages to mimic stuff that's old. So what I see from that is I'm saying, like, you know, congratulations to them for managing to make something almost as good as a film that was out 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And for not managing to shit on the heritage of something that people love.
Speaking of a film that completely failed in that respect, let's move on to our next film.
This is actually a good segue.
I think this is actually a really good segue because of all the films that came out this summer, I think we can all agree that Terminator Genesis completely failed in all ways to recapture the nostalgia of the originals. Although, Alex, I think I can't tell if your face is turning into disgust in agreement or disagreement.
Actually, it's neither because I haven't seen the film.
Dude, what I can recommend is I really like it because I think you can get a couple of beers in, get you guys around, and sit down and just laugh at that movie because it's so bad. Like, some of the lines look like they've taken it from Futurama. Like, they are so... Our
circuits aren't programmed for love.
Actual line. Can't you see?
Film.
He's stuck.
Is it really?
Can't you see he's stuck in a nexus in the time flow? Makes no sense. And the amount of plot lines that they leave loose at the end as well is astounding.
Like, the fact that
he doesn't actually know what happens in the movie.
I know you don't know what happens in the movie, but like by the end, nothing should exist, basically.
Yeah. And then they're all still there.
There's so many paradoxes through the time travel. It just totally implodes. And it's just like all the nostalgia elements, like, you know, there's a scene when Arnie is pulling himself by his arm, things like that. It feels like, look, it's Terminator still. Like there's nothing.
Yeah, and yet it did a huge box office this year. It was the highest grossing. It mean, I think up until Star Wars, highest grossing movie in China this year.
Well, that's not surprising.
He did very good.
The plot. They just watch it because they can't hear all the. They probably subtitled it better.
I think honestly, like if you don't speak that language originally, then you lose sense sometimes of how bad a performance can be.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that they've probably been saved by that from how appalling that film is.
I will say that it was really watchable, and I was texting you when I was watching it the other day.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think I kind of, I was all right with it. I was giving it a solid 2.5 out of 5. I think I'm now fully
I was pretty worried about your mental health.
On the 2, down to 2 at least.
You know what, like all I can say about it, I did have a lot of fun, but I don't think I can attribute that to the people who made it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, I just like watching things explode. That's fine.
Yeah.
Also, like the worst marketing campaign ever. They give away one of the biggest spoilers of the film.
Only real,
like the only real spoiler and the only real original idea that they had in the thing. I did like that I had no idea why it was spelled Genesis until I watched the film, and then I understood after seeing the film why it was called Genesis. It's system, SYS.
I like that there's the implication that there's like a Terminator stuck around on Earth for like 15 years just developing like Candy Crush equivalents up until the point at which it suddenly decides to take over the Earth. I mean, that's really funny.
Should
we skip it? Should we go again? Let's see what the next one is.
Let's go to the next one. I think it's
enough said on that one.
Speaking of bad films that came out this summer, I think this one kind of took the cake. This is Fantastic Four. Although the image is by the lovely Brett Urin, who I really like. His Torso Bear 2, which this is based on the same characters. Really great anthology. At any rate, let's talk about Fantastic Four. Yeah,
I didn't watch Fantastic Four.
Yeah,
was it bad? Really?
Nobody told me it was bad. So, I think everyone I've ever spoken to about this film has agreed it is bad. So I'm going to talk about what I actually thought was good about the film, and it's
going to get a beer while you do that.
Yeah, grab me one.
Yeah, of course I can. Thanks for asking, buddy. We're a nice friend, huh?
Please get me one. Will.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. You said, "Can you?" That was okay. It was, it was optional. It was kind.
So I think that taking the ultimate storyline, trying to adapt the ultimate storyline from the comics, I think that going that route and what they tried to do with the characters, at least it was something different, and it wasn't just a rehash of the Chris Evans, Jessica Alba films. I think that they at least tried to do something different, and I think that obviously they had a lot of problems with the execution, but I think a lot of that came more from the political issues with between the studio and the director, and the producers and everyone like that. Line. I don't know, Alex. What did you think of the film?
Well, two things I want to say. For one, I don't like the fact that they made it so dark. Like, I understand why they did it, because dark is like the new big thing now. Like, I don't know, people seem to love it, but I never saw the Fantastic Four as a really dark concept. Like, there's stories that had dark elements, but overall, they were kind of like more upbeat. Like, always the come to save the day, good guys. Like, at the end of the day, there's supposed to be like the ray of hope in the Marvel universe. And second, I know a lot of people hated it, but I actually liked Michael B. Jordan in the film. I didn't really care about the whole interracial siblings. And yeah, ironically, the thing that most people hated, I liked Michael B. Jordan. I thought he captured the essence of Johnny Storm perfectly.
I completely agree with you there. I think that the portrayal of Johnny Storm, I had no problem with the fact that he was just close it and then open it again. Dude, it's like right there on like the bottom.
I got it out. Don't worry. I'm just fucking shit up.
Sorry, we're trying to get limes. It's not working.
I'm doing an impression of Josh Trank, but it's set to me getting beer instead of me making a terrible film.
He's like, is it here? Is it there? What's going on? So, yeah, what I was saying was that I think Michael B. Jordan actually did do a good job. I think that, in terms of being like the hotshot kind of thing, I mean, I think he did just as good as Chris Evans, if not better. Did you find the line?
Yeah.
you need the knife too? There's a serrated one like over there in the washing up. In the washing up. You do you, man.
I'll be me.
Yeah, I'll leave you to it. I liked Michael B. Jordan. I guess that's what I'm trying to say here. Jesus, I feel like we're paying exactly the amount of respect that to this movie as it deserves. Right time to
take a break.
But yeah, you know, I think also like going with the negative zone and that origin, that actually I liked the idea.
Spoilers.
But I like the idea of it a lot. I again, the execution was just terrible. I think it just I don't know. I also really hate when people forget what powers they have. Thank you. I feel like Doom is a really, really good example of that because he like starts exploding people's heads, and then he has this big fight with a bunch of people, and he forgets that he can just explode their heads.
But their main characters, they're immune to head explosions. Does it work on them?
Character shields.
Yeah, exactly.
One thing that I absolutely hated about the film was how they gave Susan Storm her powers.
Yeah,
like
really sexist, right?
It's kind of like they forgot she was part of the team, and they just thought like, oh wait, how are we supposed to give her powers at the last minute? Oh, here you go. Like they just shoved it in. That annoyed me so much.
I thought these lines too chunky. Sorry, pal.
I got mine.
Look, like I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I mean, she should also be able to explode people's heads as well. Let's be honest about that.
She had it to Deadpool once or twice, so yeah, she should have just be able to take out Doom right there and then.
When she goes evil, doesn't she create boxes inside people and like squeeze their organs?
She goes evil?
Yeah, she goes evil.
In what?
The cartoon series, at least.
Okay, cool.
There's like a Puppet Master or whatever.
She sort of does in Exiles. In fact, Reed Richards turns evil in Exiles a full like 5 years before he did in Ultimates. So.
Yeah. I still hold that Reed Richards is the best supervillain that Marvel has ever come up with.
Because he's not curing cancer for everyone. What kind of dickhead, right, would decide that a better use of his super like knowledge would be to run around with like a teenager who can set himself on fire, solving crimes instead of dealing with stuff like cancer? Even like international war criminals like Namor can still be beaten by armies and shit, where Reed could have cured more people than would have died in one of those wars by solving cancer.
Yep.
Reed Richards, what a horrible piece of work.
And on that note, let's move on to The Hunger Games, which was done by our buddy Dan DeSosa. I always just think of it as Dan, that's why I had to check. He did this based on his Bardic Fury. Did you see The Hunger Games? I did not actually see
I saw The Hunger Games.
Alex?
I didn't.
So basically, The Hunger Games is kind of like doing spreadsheets because, like, you know how it's going to end. You just want it to end. So you just watch, like...
Sort of like Harry Potter when you're watching the last ones.
Yeah, you're like, no, well, even Harry Potter, like, you discover new stuff about the world near the end, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that those last Harry Potter movies are bad. I'm just saying.
But, like, in this movie, you're just like, oh, okay. Oh, they won. I mean, it is a little bit sucky. I think it was better for me because I watched Mockingjay Part 1 like an hour before I went to go see Mockingjay Part 2. And actually, as one film together, they're better than seeing this one as being its own film. But even then, like, it's still pretty dull. I preferred Part 1 than I preferred Part 2. Part 1's pretty cool, especially as a quiet drama film for about 2 hours.
I mean, I think that, having read the books, the third book is easily the weakest of the bunch. Mainly like because the further away she gets, Hunger Games.
Exactly. The further she gets into what she thinks is a political allegory.
Yeah.
The further away she gets from actually saying anything interesting about the political situation.
The less interesting it is. So I think that splitting it into 2 films was a real mistake.
No, but you imagine adapting that film to have that much kind of like quiet drama right at the start, and then putting that much pain and destruction right at the end.
No, I mean, I think that ultimately,
Over
like
6 hours.
From a studio point of view, sure. I just think it's a mistake, and I don't understand why we're getting these 2, like Part 1 and Part 2 films.
Because you charge double the price for it. Just ask Marvel, who want to give you 20 minutes of the start of Thor Ragnarok, and then invite you to play the full price yet again to go and see the end of Thor Ragnarok. It's like watching 4-1. Even 4-1, they did this. They were like, hey, do you want to know how they're going to get the Bifrost back? Do you want to know what happens to Loki? Come and see Avengers. It's coming out next year. You're going to enjoy yourself. You can pay the price again. Watch it in 3D IMAX if you want to. It's not worth it.
I fucking hate 3D.
I hate IMAX. No, that's a lie.
You know what was actually probably a good film to see in IMAX? Our next one, which is James Bond. This image, courtesy of Steve Penfold of Moon.
Yeah,
This
lovely
is for
Steve.
the ladies.
What did you make of Spectre, pal?
I didn't see it.
Okay, do you know the big spoiler?
I do not, but you can tell me. I mean,
Take
I
your
don't
headphones
think.
You can probably guess.
You can probably guess it. It's
No, guess it. Hang about.
Guess
What do you
it, yeah.
reckon?
What do you
What do you
think
reckon it is?
the big twist.
There's a big reveal in the movie.
I'm drawing a blank.
It's about
I can't,
Christoph Waltz's character.
His real name.
Have you seen Star Trek Into Darkness?
No, I haven't.
Okay, well, let's
Okay,
check.
well-
Okay, so he's Blofeld. So it's
Yeah.
Blofeld.
In the same way that
Oh, okay.
In the same way that
Benedict Cumberbatch. No.
Yeah.
I said it right. I usually say
Cumberbatch.
like
Cumberbatch.
no. I usually say like cucumber.
Oh yeah,
something.
Cucumber Bandersnatch.
Yeah, that's the one.
Jeremy Cumberbund.
Yeah. He's Khan in Into Darkness, but it's like they say the name and it's just like it's like this. My name is Khan.
But it may as well have been just him. If you didn't know the movies before, he may have got him be like, "My name is Steven."
Yeah.
Because it's like, what's the point of that? Why try to reboot a movie and then have it be the same character? In
Yeah.
the same way that anyone who's watching it is going to know from the first fucking second that it's going to be Blofeld in that movie with Christoph Waltz. You're
Yeah.
like, no, I bet you they got an actor of that caliber to play that smaller role. Like, dumb.
It's also like the fact that they kept it hidden actually worsened it. But at the very least, I think that they did it slightly better than the Khan reveal. It was just like my real name is Ernst Blofeld, and it didn't, or like I've
It's just
changed
kinda
my name.
Well,
my
but
name to
by
Ernst
that point, he
Blofeld.
says that you've already seen the bloody.
Yeah, the bloody cat and everything.
Yeah.
And it's just like it's just like let's move on. Like we have to say this because the fans want it. But really, I think we have some people joining us. Welcome. We are
Millhouse,
from,
the Frill House.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that's awesome.
Millhouse, I'm going to see you on here. I've got you in.
All right, we're from a place saying your cape. AP2HYC.
They've gone already.
They're gone already. All right. Well,
Welcome them.
still good to plug the site. I don't think we've actually plugged the site.
Hey,
yet.
Miller loves math.
At any rate, which one? Oh, Spectre, right?
Right. Spectre was really dull overall as a movie. It had a big fight in it. It had a big fight at the start, a big chase sequence about 40 minutes in, a big chase near the end, and then a big fight at the end.
Did you guys notice that it was actually
Spectre.
just the Winter Soldier that was James Bond?
I thought it was just an episode of Sherlock, especially the ending.
Yeah. That's all right, yeah. But let's go through this. So we have a main character who's like a super spy. Can believe that. Who has a long lost brother-ish, right? We can both agree that that's both Bucky and Ernst, who comes back sort of from the dead, and
I
is
think
sort of
it's-
like a villain, and
you're
nobody really
reaching
cares.
here,
And then
pal.
there's this whole big organization with like this logo that kind of looks like this, with like a thing.
I think you're stretching here.
No,
It's my
it's-
humble.
look, and they're trying to connect the way that they even the way they tried to connect it to the previous films really made it feel like Marvel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not convinced. I think that Spectre has enough films that it's ripped off without you having to stretch it to be about a Marvel movie.
Okay, fair enough. But hear me out on this. So James Bond films never really do anything original.
Of course. In fact, if anything, you're angry when they do. I think Skyfall's probably the exception. And even then, it pretty much fits the bill right down to a T, thematically and formulaically.
So would you agree that most James Bond films try to copy whatever's trending at the time?
Yeah, in fact, like Moonraker. I was thinking about Moonraker when I came out of it.
Perfect
Because
example.
Moonraker is like, oh, Star Wars is big. What if Bond's in space? And had the slowest space fight ever.
So 2005, we got Batman Begins.
Mm-hmm.
2006, we get Superman Returns, and we also get Casino Royale. And in the same way, it's sort of this dark reboot, right? A little bit.
I really saw Skyfall as being like the Dark Knight of Bond movies.
Yeah.
Because it's
Complete
like,
with.
I'm a psychopath who has all these plans that look like chaos, but are in fact really well planned.
If you ever want a really good podcast about that particular film, I highly recommend
No, I don't. I'm good.
the Weekly Planet on it. They actually
Yeah.
go through what his actual plan would have had to have been to actually get to this point, and it's just so ridiculous and fucked up, it just doesn't make any
Of
sense.
course, the main problem with that is that it means that his whole plan revolves around London Underground trains being on time. As if that's going to happen, am I right? Say no more. They can't do it for shit.
All right, should we
Let's move on. Let's get the next film up.
move on? All right.
Everyone who's watching, which is pretty much just Miller here, thank you.
Love your Millhouse. Check out our website, placetohangercape.com.
He loves math. I've been reading his Twitter feed. Oh, yeah. Internet's a great place to live.
Yeah.
What's our
All right,
next?
our
We're
next
running
film-
through our top 12 movies, or the top 12 blockbusters.
Blockbusters of the year. So this is Mission Impossible, done by the folks at Kiro Comics. So this is for Mission Impossible 5 Rogue Nation, which
Where they're completing their search for more and more generic subtitles for their films.
yeah, I don't know why they added subtitles.
The next one will be Mission Impossible 6, Bad Things. Did you watch this?
I did. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. What did you watch it, Alex?
Again, another movie that I did not see.
I didn't see it.
Yeah.
It looked like a piece of shit.
It's
Was it?
actually it's got a lot going for it, but I don't know. Ultimately, I think Ghost Protocol is probably still better. I don't know. A lot of people really like Ghost Protocol. The action piece in the center, I don't know. It kind of lost me about halfway through.
What's the action piece? The bit with the plane.
No, that's actually the opening
Oh, cool.
plane. It like opens right into it, and it really works. The action piece in the middle is actually the underwater heist. So we've got every Mission Impossible film in the middle basically has a heist scene, right? So for this one, it was the underwater one, and they built up to it really nicely, and you have some nice motifs going on, nice callbacks, but ultimately it didn't really like it. I don't know. It just I knew that he was going to live, and that just sort of just took me out of it.
I think it would be really awesome if they killed off Tom Cruise.
I think they
It
were
would be outrageous, wouldn't it? That would be a crazy move.
I never will now. Anyway, so you guys haven't seen it. So I think it's now Will's turn to leave the room again.
Oh, you're talking
We're
about
gonna
The
talk
Force
about
Awakens.
The Force Awakens.
It's all right, man.
All right.
Guys, it's been great. See you in a minute. I'll come back, yeah?
Millhouse, we're doing these. So we did a calendar this year.
Miller.
Millhouse or Miller?
Miller.
Miller. Okay, so Mr. Mills. So we did a calendar this year, and we're doing another one. It's currently on Patreon, patreon.com/AP2HYC. I'll send the link again here. How do we do this? Patreon. This is our first blab, so bear with us. If you want to check it out, it's we're doing it as a digital version this year. It's really cool. We get independent artists to do parodies of films and TV shows, and this year's theme is Sweet 16 birthday party. So it's going to start off with the Legends of Tomorrow having a Sweet 16 birthday party. So this is also the current image, which is by Dan Butcher of Vanguard. This is for our Star Wars. I'm really going to try not to talk about the spoilers just because I really want to respect the fact that Will hasn't seen it and he is still in the building. Alex, what do you think of The Force Awakens?
Real quick, I just want to address his question. So the order we're doing it in is according to the calendar.
That was the whole point of me going on that tangent about the calendar. Sorry.
It's fine. So yeah, on the calendar, each month was dedicated to a different movie. So we went through like Mad Max, Ant-Man, Age of Ultron, etc. And for December, it was Star Wars: The Force Awakens. So that's what we're at right now on the final month. And you can see Dave showing the different pictures. They're kind of parodies by different artists that we've promoted and that we want to put on the site. if you want to check it out on Patreon,
Yeah, if you click on the Patreon, I think there's even a link to the Kickstarter that we ran last year to fund the calendar. But yeah, basically, I'm going to just run through these all again. I really like them all. All these artists are friends of ours that we know or have reviewed. But it's basically just, which ones, it's just an order to go through them in. Star Wars, I do actually think Star Wars was my favorite of the year. I think that, like I said before when we were talking about Jurassic World, that it really did hit a really good balance between the old and the new guard, let's say, hitting the nostalgia notes while still being true to the new fans and really bringing in something new to the world. So, Alex, what did you think?
I loved it, and I know like I'm kind of in a minority on this. I think it's actually on par with Empire. I know a lot of people said that it was good. It was definitely better than the prequels, but I don't think a lot of people will say it's one of the best. Though I loved it. I loved the tribute to A New Hope. Mm-hmm. I loved the action, the visuals were gorgeous. Like that, right from the first trailer, I knew this was going to be a beautiful movie. Everything looked just amazing on screen, and that was enough. Even if the plot was bad, I knew I was just going to enjoy the scenery.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, let's be honest.
Beautiful film.
The plot's pretty much the same as A New Hope.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a droid with information that we need to find, and that's the MacGuffin and whatever. I think that what really made it for me, and I do agree. I think that in terms of rating, I would put this right up there with Empire as one of the best of the seven. Now, I think that what you're saying is totally right. That it was really fun. It had a lot going for it. Millhouse, have you seen it? I don't want to actually say the big spoiler. One of them at least, but I think that okay, cool. I'll just leave it at the death because again, he's here. The death that happens, I felt like was handled very well. I think that was one of the best moments for me. It was telegraphed very nicely, and I really liked the way it mirrored Obi-Wan's death in A New Hope. I also think that, obviously they're trying to make Kylo Ren a really big villain, and I think that is really one of the, by having him do what he did, that's probably the only way to put him onto the level of being people thinking of him as evil as Darth Vader. Alex?
The death, I actually had the death spoiled for me a day or two.
Oh no!
I posted a picture of it in the comment section, so that was kind of upsetting. But the twist that caught me, I'm glad that was.
Sorry, which twist?
Who Kylo Ren is related to?
Sorry?
Who Kylo Ren is related to?
Oh, okay, yeah.
As for angsty Kylo Ren, it wasn't what I expected. When I saw in the trailer, I expected him to be this very cold, emotionless juggernaut who just didn't mess around. I like that they gave him characterization, they made him human. They made him have feelings and such, but he was a little too on the angsty emo side.
Yeah.
So I wasn't a huge fan of it. It makes sense in the context of the film, why he was like that, but no, he was too pretty, he was too angsty. I would have liked if even they gave him a scar across his face or something like that.
He has one now.
Yeah.
I would also say that the scene where he gets the bad news and he whips out his lightsaber and just starts going off at the thing, or that hilarious scene when he's after Rey's escape and he's really angry and the stormtroopers are just nope. Those were kind of that's a little. It's very obvious that he's younger than Darth Vader. And he feels a lot like Vader in the prequels, the Hayden Christensen version of Vader, in the sense that he's trying to be evil, but he's not really achieving that, if that makes sense.
Now I know exactly what you mean. Like, I saw this comparison online. People were saying that Kylo Ren was more or less a better version of Anakin from the prequels.
Yeah.
The only thing is, at the end of Revenge of the Sith, when Obi-Wan leaves Anakin on Mustafar to burn, I thought Hayden Christensen, his performance was brilliant. I thought that was perfect. Like, he may have been really wooden the rest of his performance, but I thought that was perfect. The way he was like saying, like, "I hate you," and just like the pain and the anger you feel in him. I thought that was amazing. Kylo didn't reach that for me yet.
Yeah, I think that they're trying to build Kylo a lot. The rumors are that Kylo will actually be more following like Luke's journey, so that like in the second film he's going to be trained by Snoke instead of following Rey training with Luke. That's my hope. But,
I like to see both sides actually.
Yeah, but almost that he's meant to be the Luke character in that way, or the Anakin character, just in the sense that he was the Skywalker, and I think that's sort of where it's going. But yeah, I think I really liked it. It had a lot of funny moments. I thought the humor was definitely like really, really good, like much better than the sort of the tries for seriousness that the prequels had with like Jar Jar Binks as the humor. It just didn't work for me.
Yeah, I like the humor. Yeah, I thought Finn was hilarious. I loved the chemistry between him and Rey.
Oh yeah.
The thing that kind of disappointed me about the film, and this was a small thing, Captain Phasma, that one stormtrooper with the chrome armor.
Yeah, she was like,
they made her to be like such a badass, and then she gets Boba Fetted. Like,
useless.
I know she's coming back.
Useless.
She's coming back.
How?
Film,
she was thrown in like a trash compactor or something. Like, how is she?
I remember taking time. Like, they said that they're going to bring her back somehow, and also, I don't see why they would choose like such a badass actress. What's her name?
From Game of Thrones. I know who you're talking about, but they don't even show her face. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. He doesn't even murder blaster once. Like, I didn't like how they talked about so much.
I mean,
like, the stormtrooper who fought Finn, he was more of a badass than her.
Yeah. I mean, you know the stormtrooper in when Rey makes her escape. That's Daniel Craig in the costume.
Daniel Craig. Yeah.
I feel like he contributed just as much to the film as that actress did to Phasma. Like when you're just in the suit the whole time, it just doesn't do much. All right, so I think we should move on. I think Will is going to come back. Will? Yeah. Will? All right, I'm going to go get him. Alex, entertain the masses. Will?
So my name's Alex. I'm a Sagittarius. I enjoy long walks on the beach. Yeah, I got nothing. No, so Star Wars Force Awakens, I thought it was a really good film.
That was about it. Are we done?
We're going to keep going for a minute.
But it's kind of a damned if you do.
Hi, Alex, missed you.
Okay.
You're back?
Yeah,
I'm
we're
back.
back.
Hey, buddy.
So no more Star Wars spoilers, guys, because Will has...
Oh, Jesus, are they talking about Star Wars? Oh, God, no! There's Star Wars chat on the screen! No, I'm kidding. I'll be okay, guys. I'll keep my eyes pinned.
All right. So, any other movies that you guys thought were worth talking about from this year, geeky or not?
I think Miller has a question.
Yep. Oh, wait.
You got 2 questions.
Oh, he's got another one.
Oh.
Or it may have just been a typo.
Okay. Well, we'll wait for him to
Just trying to clear. Oh, he's trying to get rid. Yeah, cool.
Oh, okay. Cheers, man. Really appreciate it. No, it's
We
fine.
can clear
It's
them
fine.
for you.
We can clear them here. Don't worry. There's really not.
Thanks for your help in trying to get rid of the spoilers.
Thanks, Millhouse.
Yeah, like as far as geeky stuff is concerned, I think that it's just like maybe one thing we could talk about is how a lot of the geek work that is going on at the moment is video game related as well. In particular, I just want to quickly talk about Lego Dimensions. You guys aware of this?
I have no idea.
So Lego Dimensions is like Do you have it?
Oh, no, I was going to say it's on my list. It's a bit pricey,
is,
but
yeah.
I definitely want it. I want it.
What
So
is
do you
it?
know what Disney Infinity is?
Yeah, vaguely.
So
Like
basically, Disney
crossover.
Infinity is like a disc, like a game that you put in. Then it comes with a little like disc platform that you put RFID chipped little figurines on. And you can access games in them. And Lego's also done something similar, which is Lego Dimensions.
That's really clever.
So Disney Infinity is going to have it's got all sorts of Disney stuff in it, including a Force Awakens set that's just come out. And then it's also got Lego Dimensions is like Portal and Doctor Who and stuff like that, and Jurassic World. So they're really fun ways of approaching geek content, and I feel like we don't ever give enough stuff to. They're definitely like fully casual games in a sense. They're designed for kids. On a slightly like capitalistic note, I guess they're all about just selling the same figurines to kids as much as you can. But I don't think it's any worse than the kind of like trading card games that me and you grew up with. And I feel like this actually gives you more.
At least you get an action figure and a video game. I think that's kind of a cool concept.
Exactly. So yeah, I just wanted to like mention that. I thought that was really hip. And in particular, it seriously made me consider buying myself a Wii and everything else to get Lego Dimensions just to play as Doctor Who in the one play set that they have for you on that currently. So yeah, I thought that was hip. I got my. Did anyone get anything good for Christmas? Nerdy stuff before we go.
Well, I had one more thing I wanted to mention.
Geez, okay.
Just because it is a thing that came out this year.
This guy.
Hey, I think that it's something you'll want to talk about. I think that the Marvel Netflix shows are worth mentioning, just as something that was big.
They both
that came
come out this year. It feels like Daredevil's been
2015.
forever.
I know. It was your birthday, wasn't it?
Yep.
I think both just really, really solid shows. I mean, we mentioned earlier that we all thought that Kingpin and Kilgrave were two of the best villains in the Marvel universe. I mean, Jessica Jones for me was it just blew me away.
I really liked it. I don't think I liked it visually as much, but I really enjoyed it in terms of the writing. I thought that was probably slightly better than Daredevil. So, yeah, and what's amazing about them is how the quality of them is kept up over such a punishing schedule in terms of how they shoot it, and how big a contribution that is without ever tying into the rest of their movies.
Yeah.
I feel like they could probably learn a little bit about how to make their movies tied in, but a little bit less intrusive from watching the Netflix stuff. To be honest.
I mean, I think that one of the reasons why specifically Jessica Jones was so successful was because it had such tenuous ties to the Marvel.
It felt very much like grounded in that universe in a sense, but also not anything to do with anything current or like explicable in that universe.
It sort of felt like this is a story of someone else who lives in the Marvel universe. It wasn't, anything else.
And it's just enough that like in the background of Daredevil, there's a guy just in the background of his office has like framed the Battle of New York headline.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's nice. That's a nice way of tying them together.
I agree that Daredevil was beautifully shot. Much more noticeable, at least, or memorable than the way that Jessica Jones was. Although they did have some nice.
I would say it was more consistent than Daredevil, than Jessica Jones.
Let's leave it at that. Any thoughts on those, Alex?
Love them both. I like Daredevil a little more, but overall, I think it's hard to compare them just because they're two incredibly different shows. Like one's a gritty, hardcore detective, one's like a dark action crime thriller. Kilgrave definitely was one of my favorite villains because he's so creepy.
And Kingpin as well.
Kingpin's great. Would you agree?
Like you see the kind of upbringing, and he wasn't like I saw Kilgrave as evil because he didn't realize he was evil. Yeah. Like he kind of has this moment like, oh, I'm not doing a bad thing just because I'm telling you what to do, like that kind of stuff.
And isn't it funny that they finally managed to get a compelling villain? They just had to do it in such a format that you get to spend like 16 hours of them.
Yeah.
It's the only way they managed to get it across,
Right. It's a shame that he had to die, though. I think Kilgrave should have lasted longer.
Well, don't worry, mate. It's comics. They did come back occasionally every now and again.
I actually think that it was good that they... I'm sorry if anyone hasn't seen Jessica Jones, but I think that it was the only way to get rid of him. It was the only way to stop him. Although one of my friends did point out cutting out his tongue, but I don't think that would have really worked.
I don't know what his... I liked how vague they kept their powers. I thought that was really nice. I like how vague they kept that shit. I thought that was really cool. So yeah, ultimately overall, I thought that was a good thing. She's
all right. I'll leave you to what you're doing. So I think
Yeah, they kept his powers really vague because they were like, oh, we're not going to say whether it's mind control or hormones or whatever. But they said it was a virus, but then he managed to infect loads of people he'd never met. So I'm like, I think you're deliberately, because his cure didn't work as well.
Yeah.
So I think you're just supposed to be like, oh, okay, I don't know. Like,
works. I do know in the comics that there are definitely people in the Marvel Universe that it doesn't work on.
I do know that in the comics he has purple skin, he's Croatian, so I'm assuming it's not the same.
He also, it is hormones for sure in the comics. Anyway, all right.
Great.
Alex, anything else?
Not that I can think of.
All right. Well, in that case, I'm going to do some cheap plugs. Again, we are from a place to hang your cape, which is AP2HYC.com, the same as our Twitter handle. I highly recommend checking out the site. We have a lot of, comic book reviews, listicles, lots of fun stuff coming up. We also have some great videos made by our video hero, who is Will, sitting next to me.
I also run a video review channel that you can look at. I posted a couple of links in the description here.
Absolutely. Another link we posted in the description is our Patreon, which is ongoing at the moment. Our
please.
Awesome 2016 calendar, which would be just as great, if not better, than our 2015 calendar.
It comes with a load of extra stuff as well, like hidden Facebook groups, special videos, stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Lots of good fun goodies.
Just so you guys know, the calendar includes a custom image, a unique image rather, each month that's a parody of whatever geeky or nerdy thing is coming out that month. So next month is going to be Legends of Tomorrow. For 2016, we're doing My Super Sweet 16 is the theme, so we've got a bunch of superhero birthday parties to attend. The calendar also comes with an actual calendar, which includes a whole bunch of geeky dates, reminders of when different movies and TV shows are coming out, all kinds of awesome things that are really useful in your geeky life. And it is right now, it is 20% off if you want to donate. So check it out. It's patreon.com/AP2HYC, or it's also AP2HYC.com/Patreon. Great, whatever. All right.
Thanks very much. Nice to meet you, Alex, by the way.
Guys.
Millhouse, thank you for sticking with us.
Cheers,
I hope
all.
you come back next time.
Have a good one.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye. I don't know how this shit works. I've got to leave.